Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, The Legit Astrologer. My name is Rajat Kapoor. As I made a promise to you in my previous videos that I'll be coming up with more videos on concept of Vedic astrology or Jyotish, and I'll try to make it very simple for you. Okay, so I have started making a series of videos, and this series of videos is about Mahadashas. Over the next few days, I am also going to be making videos on specific planetary dashas, what they're all about, some of the key messaging, and try to keep these concepts very simple for you to understand and relate. I'd like to put focus on this video on Vimshottari Mahadasha. So this video is about Vimshottari Mahadasha. So Vimshottari Mahadasha is one of the nakshatra based dasha. There are a number of nakshatra based dashas. There are a number of Rashi dashas. There are a number of conditional dashas. There is a universal application of Vimshottari dasha. What does a Mahadasha really means? Okay, Maha means major, and dasha means a condition or a situation, or it represents circumstances. So this is what it is all about. Now let's talk about calculation of a Vimshottari Mahadasha. Maharishi Parashara has given 120 years to Vimshottari Mahadasha based on the maximum lifespan of a human being. Nowadays, we don't see that kind of a lifespan. I mean, anyone who hits 80 years of age, that is considered good as well. But our sages have given Vimshottari Mahadasha 120 years, and these years have been distributed amongst the 9 grahas. And the dasha sequence is in the order of nakshatras. So in the 27 nakshatra cycle, the first nakshatra is Ashwini. It starts by Ketu because Ketu rules Ashwini. Then Bharani is ruled by Venus. Kritika is ruled by Sun. And that is how the sequence is based on the nakshatras and their rulers. In this video of Mahadashas made simple, what is a Mahadasha? What is it about? It is a major situation in life or circumstances or the conditions. A Mahadasha is the theme of your life. So depending on the planet and the time period, so for example, if it is Sun, the time period is 6 years. If it is Moon, it is for 10 years. Jupiter, 16 years. Saturn is 19 years. Rahu is 18 years. Mercury is 15 years, Venus is 20 years. These are some examples that I'd like to give you with regards to the overall time of the dasha. Okay, so this means that for those many years, this is the overall theme of your life, which is the Mahadasha. So Mahadasha indicates your direction in life, your primary focus area, what is that you will be going through, the psychological changes, the behavioral changes, your overall personality, your habits, the kind of people that you will meet, the kind of world that you will live in, and what will be your overall situation. Okay, so this is what a Mahadasha is all about. So it plays a very important role when it comes to predictive astrology. So the Mahadasha Lord plays a very important role in a person's life at a given time period, because most of the results, situation and things related to this person and the kind of life we will live is mostly dependent on the Mahadasha Lord. So this really sets the theme. Okay, so that is one. Now, how does a Mahadasha Lord deliver results? First part of that is that what is the lordship of this Mahadasha Lord? The houses or the signs in the birth chart that this Lord is ruling. So if it is Sun and Moon, they only rule one sign. Sun rules the sign of Leo, Moon rules the sign of Cancer. So the results will be based on that particular house of the chart. There are planets who rule dual houses, who rules 2 houses. So for example, Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius and Pisces. Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius. This information is very easily available for all of us. So I'd like to focus on Mahadasha Lords and how the results are related. So primarily, the Mahadasha Lord will deliver the results based on its lordship, the kind of houses it rules in your chart. 1 through 12 houses. What are those houses? And its signification. Okay, so that is the primary factor. The next factor is the inherent nature or the significance of this planet or this graha and what that is all about. So for example, if it is Saturn, its inherent nature is discipline, to be organized. It is a mature planet, so it brings a sense of maturity in the individual. Jupiter is the significator of wisdom, is the significator of knowledge, so that is what it is all about. Mercury is the significator of communication. Venus is the significator of luxury, abundance. Okay, so these are some of the indications which would really help shape the theme of life of an individual. However, that doesn't mean that Jupiter will always give you wisdom and knowledge. Venus will always give you luxuries. The results are dependent on a number of factors. Primarily, it is based on the lordship, the houses that it is ruling. If it is ruling good houses, it will deliver results based on those houses. Ruling not so good houses, there could be certain struggles and challenges. So that's the second aspect, based on the inherent nature, signification of the planet, or the karakatva of the planet. Now the third and one of the very important factor is about the other planets that are aspecting this Mahadasha Lord, whether this aspect is benefic, whether this aspect is malefic, if it is being aspected by your quadrant Lord, Kendra Lord, or trinal Lord, or benefics such as Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, or there is an aspect of Saturn, Rahu, Mars, any of the malefic aspects, or being aspected by your 6th Lord, 8th Lord, 12th Lord, then that could be a challenging aspect. And about conjunction. The planets, this planet is, or the Mahadasha Lord is conjoined with. Okay, so it is placement, aspect, and conjunction. So let's say if the placement is strong, it's positive, it's either placed in a quadrant house or a trinal house. You can look at a birth chart for your reference, and I've made it pretty simple. The number of houses, which are the quadrant houses, which is the trinal houses, and which are the trik houses, which is the 6th, 8th, and 12th. Okay, and also the upachaya houses, which are the houses of growth, 3, 6, 10, and 11. So some of these basic concepts I have mentioned in this chart for your reference to make it simple for you. Now let's say this graha is very strongly placed in the chart. It is either placed in a quadrant house or a trine house, and it is receiving some benefic aspect of another planet, and it is also either having a good or a positive conjunction, or there is no conjunction. That means that the three conditions are pretty much positive. This ensures a lot of strength in this graha to perform positively. Now let's say if the placement is positive, but the aspect is malefic, the conjunction is malefic, that is where it will become challenging and it will become complex. It will restrict the planet to deliver at its optimum. So therefore, I would say that there can never be a condition where a dasha is always positive or a dasha is always negative. Even let's say it's dasha of Rahu, which is 18 years long. So there will never be a case that it will always be negative or always be positive. Similarly, if it is Jupiter, one of the biggest benefics, naturally it's 16-year long period. It is never a possibility that it will always be benefic or always be negative. A dasha is always mixed. It gives mixed results. There are ups, there are downs, there are highs and lows. It depends on a number of other factors, which I'll just share with you. So there are no good dashas, there are no bad dashas. It's always mixed dasha. Regardless whether it's your Lagna Lord, 5th house Lord, 9th house Lord, 10th house Lord, dasha will always be mixed. Let me also share with you some of the other factors which are quite relatable as well. I'll take a few examples. There are certain planets where the initial part of the dasha is quite challenging. For example, Saturn, Rahu. So its initial phase, the first few years, is extremely challenging because it brings a very deep psychological change in the individual, and change is painful. It takes time. You have to build plenty of resilience, wisdom, knowledge, discipline. In order to cope up with this change, you have to really strengthen your mind. When there is a big shift, it does bring certain challenges in the person's life. Okay, just imagine if you do not know how to swim, and if you've been thrown in water in a swimming pool or deep waters, and now that you have to learn swimming by yourself. So that is the kind of condition. It takes time to practice, it takes time to build that resilience and perseverance to be able to cope up with these times. So the initial part of Saturn Dasha, Rahu Dasha is generally challenging. Some other facts that I can share with you is, let's say Jupiter Mahadasha, which is a 16-year long period. Generally speaking, the second half of Jupiter Mahadasha is more favorable than the first half. The simple reason for that is that in each Mahadasha there are Antardashas as well, and I'm going to talk about Antardasha, what it really means, in just a while. If you look at the 16-year long period of Jupiter Mahadasha, the second half has Antardashas of Sun, Moon, Mars, so they are in quick succession. So therefore, when it is connected to a friendly Antardasha, Jupiter shares a friendly association with Sun, Moon, Mars. So when this comes together, Jupiter is likely to deliver more positive results in the second half of its Mahadasha. Another fact about Mercury's Mahadasha, which is a 15-year long period. Mercury is one of the most fastest moving graha besides the luminary moon. Therefore, Mercury is known for delivering results very quickly. Okay, so people start to witness some results very prominently within the first year or two of the Mercury Mahadasha, and these results are very, very prominent and you can feel it at the same time. Now, another concept I'd like to share with you before I talk about Antardashas and Pratyantardasha, there is something called as a Dasha Sandhi. What is Dasha Sandhi? Okay, so let's take an example that you're driving a manual gear car, okay, and you're going and you started with the first gear. Now you increase the speed, you shift gears, you increase the speed, you keep shifting gears. Nowadays we mostly drive automatic gear cars where the gears shift automatically. There is a lot of change that is going on within the vehicle, and which gives you pace, which gives you speed, which gives you ability to maneuver from one place to the other. Okay, so Dasha Sandhi is very similar to shifting of these gears. Okay, these are junctions, from one junction to the other junction, and from one junction to the other junction there is a huge change, there is a huge shift. So I am at point A, I need to reach to point B, and in order to reach there successfully, I have to go through a transformation, I have to go through a big behavioral change, I have to go through a new way of life, I have to understand certain things which were not known for me in the past. So I have to be very much open to this change. So Dasha Sandhi is that junction. To make it simple, it's a period where one has to put additional efforts to cope up with this change. There is a simple calculation of the Dasha Sandhi period, and I have mentioned this here for your reference, and I have taken an example of Rahu Dasha and Jupiter Dasha, because Jupiter Dasha is followed by Rahu Dasha. So it is 18 years of Rahu Dasha, and then comes the 16 years of Jupiter Mahadasha. Alright, so how this Sandhi period is calculated? You need to add up the time period of both the Mahadasha that are subsequent to each other. So it is 18 plus 16, which is 34 in this case. Okay, and you take 10% of this total. Now in this case it comes to 3.4 years, or roughly 40 months. Now these 40 months have to be proportionately divided between Rahu and Jupiter. So in this case, Rahu will get slightly more time period than Jupiter, which means that those particular number of months or the year towards the end of Rahu Dasha is where it is Dasha Sandhi, and the remainder are the beginning period of Jupiter Mahadasha, which is the Sandhi period, where these transformation or the big change really happens. And for Jupiter to be able to deliver its optimum results, it is more likely to do it after the Sandhi period is over. So this is something which we must keep in mind, and These are certain transformational periods where one must take it easy, try to understand the changes that are happening. Especially if you are going through one of this phase, I would advise you to practice meditation, yoga, pranayam, really focus on building your mental strength to be able to cope up with this change successfully. Okay, now that we've shared about this big psychological change, let's talk about Antardasha. Okay, what does Antar means? Antar, as the term in Sanskrit, Antar, if I translate it, it means interval, or it means something that is more intimate. So it is the real connection between the Dasha Lord and the Antardasha Lord which really sets up this theme. To make it simple for you, if the Dasha Lord is setting up the theme for the next many years or life, Antardasha would really talk about specifically what is changing, how it is changing internally, externally, how it is going to have an impact on you, whether this will be conflicting, whether it will deliver positive results. So the Antardasha Lord has a major say in terms of delivering these results. So now let me share with you that it is important to understand that between the Mahadasha Lord and the Antardasha Lord, who has a greater say, who has a greater influence, how to understand, how to judge this. Okay, so it is simple. If the Mahadasha Lord is stronger than the Antardasha Lord in your chart, okay, then the Mahadasha Lord has a greater control, right? The Antardasha Lord would follow the instructions of the Mahadasha Lord in terms of delivering the results. So which means that even if you have a malefic planet in the Antardasha, the results could be extremely powerful, right? So let's take an example of Mars and Rahu being in Mahadasha and Antardasha. Generally it is considered or perceived as a dreaded period, but here if the Mahadasha Lord is benefic and it is strongly placed, okay, and it has more influence or power, and even if these two planets are conjoined, so for example if you're running Mars Dasha and Saturn Antardasha or vice versa, if your Mahadasha Lord is strong, then you're likely to experience some very phenomenal and extraordinary results that could be extremely positive. This can really take a person to greater heights. If the Mahadasha Lord is weak, let's say it's placed in the 6th house, 8th house, 12th house, or any of the not so good houses, and it is under malefic influence, it is weak in its Shadbal or the strength, it does not rule some good houses in your chart. This kind of situation, the Antardasha Lord will have a greater say in terms of delivering results. That doesn't mean that if you get a 12th Lord Dasha or an 8th Lord Dasha, that doesn't mean that you will struggle for the entire period of this Dasha. So this is where the Antardasha Lord will play. And from a remedy perspective, whoever is in strength, one needs to focus on that and start building on that graha. Okay, so here the Antardasha Lord will play a role in terms of deciding what is going to happen, when is going to happen, and how the results will function. So the Antardasha Lord will really determine if there is a yoga that is formed, if there is a promise that is made, whether it has the capability or the ability to deliver on that promise, to deliver on that yoga, and how it will deliver. So in this case, the Antardasha Lord dominates if it is in strength. Now thirdly, most importantly, which many students of astrology do not pay much attention, though there are different levels of dasha. So there is Mahadasha, Antardasha, Pratyantardasha, Sukshma Dasha, Prana Dasha, so on and so forth. But I'll only look at the 3 levels of Mahadasha. So the Mahadasha, Antardasha and Pratyantardasha. Okay. Pratyantar means sanction, means support. It also means evidence. Okay. So as I described the meaning of Pratyantar, you can imagine its importance. Okay. So if it means sanction, the final say of whether a promise that is made in the chart is going to be fulfilled or not, the final say is of the Pratyantar Dasha Lord, and at times it holds the greatest importance when predicting certain events or when predicting some highs and lows in terms of the time period that you are going to have in your life. So this must never be ignored. It has the final say, it has the final stamp of approval, and it is like the big boss if he approves. However, in order for the Pratanta Dasha Lord to work at its optimum, I always say that it has to be connected in some way to either the Mahadasha Lord or the Antardasha Lord, either by placement, by aspect, by conjunction, by any sort of yoga. If that connection is there and if it is positive, it is likely to deliver the results during its sub period. Even that sub period is a month or 2 months or a very short period of a few days, it is likely to deliver on those promises, condition that it should have a sambandha either with the Antardasha Lord, if not the Antardasha Lord, some sort of a connection with the Mahadasha Lord. If it is not connected, then this is where the Antardasha Lord or the Mahadasha Lord might have a greater say in terms of delivering of the results. So if it makes a positive connection association, the results are positive. If it makes a negative connection or negative association, then the results could be mixed or challenging. And from a remedial perspective, from a Mahadasha Lord, Antardasha Lord and Pratanta Lord at a given time period, whoever is in strength, whoever is Bali, that is something you need to understand. You need to try and identify who's in good dignity, remedy that graha, focus more on that graha, mantras associated with that graha, yantra associated with that graha, deity or devata associated to that graha, food items associated to that graha, gemstones associated to that graha for a particular time period. It could be highly rewarding for an individual. Now let's talk about the last concept in understanding Vimshottari Mahadasha or the time period. There is a concept called as the Dasha Lagna. It is very simple to understand, and I have made a chart here. In this chart, there is the Dasha of Saturn that is being run, and Saturn here is placed in the 5th house. What you will do in this situation is that you will make 5th house as the ascendant or the Lagna and start counting from there. So in the overall 19 years of Saturn Mahadasha, there will be different Antardashas. So from here, you need to find out the Antardasha of a planet. So for example, if it is the Antardasha of Mercury, where is Mercury placed? Say if Mercury is placed in the 9th house, which means it is 5th from Saturn, because if you make the 5th house as Lagna, okay, Mercury is in the 9th, so they share a 5-9 relationship, which is a trinal relationship that is extremely positive. So it is likely to deliver positive results. So if the Mahadasha and the Antardasha Lord share a trinal relationship, which means 5th or 9th from each other, then this is extremely positive. This makes the person fortunate. This makes the individual pretty much inclined towards dharma, towards doing the right things, towards righteousness, and it builds a very strong foundation for this person. If the Mahadasha Lord and the Antardasha Lord shares a quadrant relationship, either 1st, 4th, 7th or 10th from each other. So let's take an example. If it's the Dasha of Jupiter and this Jupiter is placed in the 8th house, okay, so what is the quadrant houses from the 8th house? It is the 11th house, which is 4th from the 8th house, okay. It is the 2nd house, which is 7th from the 8th house. It is the 5th house, which is the 10th from the 8th house. So any planets placed here share a quadrant relationship with Jupiter, which means that this particular time period could be very favorable for material gains and physical comfort. So any sort of physical comfort, material comfort, action in your life, this time period could be highly favorable from a Dasha Lagna perspective. If let's say the Dasha Lord and the Antardasha Lord share a 3-11 or a 11-3 relationship, that means that an individual might need to put a lot of efforts, but towards the end that person would see gains. However, there could be a lot of efforts that this person might have to put in such a situation. And then we are left with two more conditions, which is 2-12 or 12-2 with each other. Okay, so let's say if this Jupiter is placed in the 8th house, and then if there's a Graha in the 9th house, or if there's a Graha in the 6th house, and there is an Antardasha of that particular Graha in this situation. So they form a 2-12 or a 12-2 relationship. Okay, so this is a case where an individual might incur certain losses. There could be a fall. However, it might be very good when it is about achieving some spiritual pursuits, because in order to achieve spirituality, in order to get moksha, in order to transform, you have to undergo a painful process. You have to lose a lot before you get uplifted spiritually. You have to give up everything, all the material comforts and gains. Particular situation could be challenging, but it is very good when it comes to mental strength and spiritual upliftment. And the last condition is if the Mahadasha or the Antardasha Lord are 6-8 or 8-6 with each other. So let's say you're running a Dasha of Mercury. If there is an Antardasha of a planet which is either placed in the 6th house or the 8th house, so this is the kind of association which they share. So such time periods can be challenging, can be painful. There could be a lot of uncertainty, there could be a lot of doubt. Unless the grahas are well placed in the chart, are in strength, that is when the results can be mitigated based on the original strength. So one needs to keep in mind both the aspects, the original actual placements, lordship, placement, aspect and conjunction, and then get into the Dasha Lagna and see what is more positive and what is not working well, and accordingly determine certain results that can happen in a person's life. So this is about Vimshottari Mahadasha. I have tried to keep it as simple as I can so that you can understand this yourself and try to apply in your own charts. This topic is quite vast. I can talk about it for hours. However, I wanted to make it simple. I wanted to make it short and brief. I hope you like this video, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, and over the next few days, I'm going to be making videos on each planet and its Mahadasha and try to keep it simple as I can, right? Thank you very much.